All right, well, hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to our second edition of our Harvard Phone Chat series. We still haven't thought of a very clever name yet, but I'm Matt Geiger, and I'm joined again by my co-host Sasha Mitchell. Sasha, how you holding up?
I'm doing good.
Right on, right on. Well, we've got a great little chat lined up for you all today, and thanks for tuning in. We're pleased to welcome on three very special guests from our property management side. So before we dive into the conversation, let's do a quick roundtable and introduce our guests. First off, we'll start off with our property management jack of all trades and the ninja of all things building operations. We're pleased to be joined by our technical services manager, Chris Burrell. Chris, what's shaking today, buddy? How you doing?
Doing fantastic. I guess I just got back from Hawaii because Chris Johnson said I'm still in holiday mode, so that's why I'm feeling fantastic. I've never been called a ninja before. That's cool. I usually call my father-in-law a ninja before he goes to bed. For some reason, you look over and he's gone. So, poof, a thing of smoke goes and he's already in bed. So I always ask, where did Ron go? That's Ron the ninja. But I guess now I'm considered a ninja. That's cool.
All right, so we'll know if you duck out on the call. You're the ninja, but...
see some smoke.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to say hi to two of our rock star commercial property managers here in Regina. Welcome to Victoria Gable and Chris Johnson. Chris and Victoria, how you guys doing today?
Pretty awesome. I'm on my way off to vacation, so I'm going to be leaving some contrails behind when I'm away, and probably as happy as Chris feels right now.
You will.
Careful which Chris, because I'm sitting there with my head in my hands here.
Yeah.
Right on, you guys.
I, on the other hand, am not taking any holidays, so yes, I hold down the fort for the night.
Good stuff. Okay, well, thank you three for coming on with us, and like I said at the start here, we've got a great little topic, and it's something Sasha and I have talked a lot about that we wanted to do for a long time. And it's kind of a really incredible and under the radar type of story that I think a lot of our employees don't get to hear a lot about. And it's all kind of revolves around the color green lately for us. Snow's melting outside, spring's coming. The Riders just announced we're hosting the Grey Cup. St. Patrick's Day's right around the corner. But we're here to talk about a different, color or type of green. And that's kind of all revolves around Harvard and our sustainability issues. So we've brought you three in today to kind of walk us through what Harvard's doing today, how our properties stack up, and how our employees can kind of get behind the charge and be a part of this great initiative we have going on at Harvard. So, Chris, I think we're going to start with you. Our first question we had for you, and just from a global kind of standpoint, why is it important? Why is sustainability so important for real estate companies in general, and I guess specifically for Harvard?
Well, I guess the first part is this. It's a social responsibility, first and foremost, for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're in the business of property management, real estate development. I think we all have a responsibility. We got young generations coming up in this, obviously with climate change and the things that are occurring, we have to do our part. Our part when it comes to our business, what Victoria, Chris, and myself and others in the organization is, we focus on green initiatives. We've done so much, and we're doing more. We've done everything from replacing our major HVAC systems, lighting systems. 10, 15 years ago, we're doing it again, and we've got so many cost-saving lighting retrofits planned for all of the office towers, not just in Regina, but we've got projects in Winnipeg, we've got projects in Alberta that everybody is working on. We're working very closely with the provincial governments in all three sectors on reducing and getting incentives wherever we possibly can. Victoria and CJ, you guys could probably add to some of the things that we and why we do it. But anyways, there's lots of activity happening in the areas of green initiatives, not only just in the area of replacing equipment that's the most efficient as possible, but even some of our operational practices, air quality testing and commissioning, etc.
Perfect.
Yeah, Chris, I'm just going to jump in, just kind of what you were talking about on the operational side of things. I think for building owners and investors, the most important thing for them is to have full buildings. And what we're seeing, tenants more and more are asking for us to report back to them what the building's consumptions have been, asking for us to report what our major expenditures are going to be. They're focused on sustainability and driving down consumption in the future. They're asking, when are we going to see some tenant communication and kind of engagement opportunities from Mr. Landlord? And so it's top of mind for them. And if we want to attract high quality tenants, we need to be able to deliver space that their employees and their governance committees are looking for. So we've been on this for long before I came around, well over a decade. So I'd say, in general, as an investment company, Harvard's ahead of the curve for sure.
Perfect. So we've noticed other times too, or other programs that have popped up more recently, and one of them is this Green Wave partnership. Could you guys maybe elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. Chris, do you want to start and then I can feed in?
Sure, yeah. So about maybe a year ago, we started hearing about this new technology, maybe it was a little longer than that even, new technology called energy demand monitoring. Essentially, there's these little clips that go onto electrical panel wiring and are able to feed the information and the voltages and the resistances and all the technical electrical data that's flowing through those wires to a central brain, which can process that big data. Everyone's heard about big data. Well, this is kind of some of the manifestation of that. And it enables a building who's been connected to see what the minute-by-minute energy consumption is for a particular floor or a particular major piece of equipment, and make some real actual real-life experience-based decisions on making any changes, on what's working, what isn't working, what the effect of a new piece of equipment is, maybe what the actual effect of just changing out a pump that was going to die anyways has for sustainability, and just drive some better decision-making. So we've put that into Agriculture Place, FCC Tower, just finishing up this month. So we'll start seeing some real data.
Building off that too, this is kind of, I guess, off script. I wanted to ask you, Victoria and CJ, like we've talked about the operations side of things, just in terms of like tenants, do you guys see this a lot from them asking for sustainability, kind of programs or initiatives, or, something with Mosaic Tower or Ag Place? Like, how big of a deal is sustainability in new development?
Who it's important to, we often see these requests from the larger tenant groups. A lot of them are national chains or national companies who are really looking to be in a building that is working towards sustainable initiatives and reducing energy consumption. They're often asking us to track those things. We don't yet track individual tenant spaces. We may be moving into that direction in the future, but we do get that from a lot of those tenants, and they are looking for cost savings reduction. Just backing up to where you were talking earlier about tenant attraction and retention, we have a large group of Class A buildings. We have a big group of Class A buildings in our market, and with that comes a higher operating cost for all the amenities and programs that we run in our buildings. Tenants are looking to get a good benefit from that.
So a big part of sustainability in real estate is certification programs, two of them being BOMA Best and LEED. So what can you tell us about these programs, and where do we fit in at Harvard?
Well, I'll jump in here. I've been involved with the BOMA program for some time, and I'm actually still in the National Awards Committee for Building Awards. Which stands for Building Owners and Managers Association Building Environmental Standards, is the largest existing building certification program going. BOMA Best is very huge in Canada. There are thousands of buildings in the program, and they're actually expanding into Mexico, China, and the United States. We do have tenants that are looking for building certifications. They want to be in a property that is working towards sustainable initiatives, that is working or has certifications. We recently had a potential new tenant who required visual verification that they were moving into a BOMA Best certified building, which was quite interesting. It takes a little bit of work to do that. There are a lot of segments to the BOMA Best program, and the program requirements, a lot of the requirements follow the management company and how well you're managing your property. So it's not just the physical attributes that your property has. which is where LEED fits in for the core and shell. So BOMA Best follows a lot of the building management practices. Are you benchmarking? Are you reducing consumption? What is your energy consumption? Do you have audit programs for energy, water, waste? Do you have tenant engagement? Those are all components of those programs.
Perfect. And I guess just, Victoria, like, can you give us an example of some of our properties that are kind of leading the way with these programs, or maybe the highest rated? Or CJ2?
We have the bulk of our buildings are rated at the silver level, and we do have a couple of buildings, Century Plaza, Tower 3, Mosaic Tower 3 are rated at the gold level, and we currently have a few properties tracking towards gold as well.
Perfect. I just had one other question here too. I guess, we're always kind of looking ahead, and, I think we're doing a great job now, but where do you two and Chris Burrell too, like, jump in? Like, where do you guys hope to see us in, 5 years down the road?
I think we're seeing the implementation of a lot of maybe futuristic technologies from a few years ago that were just in kind of building magazines that are coming into the properties. Greenwave is a good example. Victoria and I are doing some interesting things on waste in the buildings to try and reduce that. I think 5 to 10 years from now, we're likely to see zero waste buildings in Regina, and using new technology that's being developed, taking that waste that's coming out of the building and turning it into energy as a way to feed back into the property in terms of, preheating boiler water or coming up with some power generation through a combustion system. The technology is getting smaller and getting more advanced and less complicated, believe it or not. So, there's potential for that down the road here, and I think the partnerships that we're making today with companies like Greenwave and others are really putting us on the right track to implement this as they come online and become more commercialized. Mm-hmm. Again, leading the way in Saskatchewan, definitely.
And just being honest, I guess, how much has it changed even in the last 5 years? Like, has sustainability for you guys in your career at Harvard always been this prominent, or has it really ramped up here lately? Do you guys remember doing this kind of stuff, even 5 years ago?
Harvard, like, I've been with the company for 20 plus years, and I think sustainability, but in a different way, have always been there. It may not be, may not have been more of a process driven or a program platform driven, but always making decisions on selecting the proper materials, equipment. It's always been there. Everything that we've always done, whether it's been power factor correction, whether it's been, the most near condensing boilers, chillers, having variable speed drives on pumps, that's all, lighting retrofits. It's all been their part as long as I can remember. And that's the good part about Harvard. They've always had that as part of their budgeting process, long range budget planning, sustainability. It's always been there, but I think a lot of the national programs, like Victoria was saying, they have evolved and they have changed a lot. And now, now we've got federal changes and provincial changes that we're trying to keep up. And now even we have regulatory changes that are coming as well. And even if the province of Saskatchewan has adopted the energy code, that also will affect a lot of our other capital projects like roofing and building envelopes. So to answer the question, Harvard's always thought about sustainability, but programs in general and federal, provincial, as well as our associations have definitely evolved.
The other piece of that has changed a lot has to do with the human component. And now a lot of people and organizations, certification programs are paying attention to the health and wellness of the occupants and not just the equipment that operates your building.
So just to sum things up, where do you guys see Harvard ranking against other buildings or companies when it comes to efficiency and consumption? Are there any small changes that our folks listening can do to help our day-to-day goals?
Lots of stuff. So just to answer maybe your first question, and Victoria can probably fill in some of the detail, but we're lucky that we co-own a lot of our properties with a very large real estate investment company that is part of an international environmental rating or system. So our portfolio gets measured against our competitors' portfolios throughout Canada, speaking specifically of Greystone. And we get some good metrics back of where we stack up in terms of an annual report against our competitors' portfolios that Greystone is also invested in. And we're right up there with the best of them, but there are definitely areas to improve, and this waste is one of them, which is what we're really focusing on this year. And then,
and one of the... Sorry, go ahead. One of the areas within that scorecard that Chris is talking about has to do with health and wellness, audits, and green leases. And our joint venture partner has recognized Harvard as being a leader in that market with the amount of green leases that we have. And those green leases contain clauses that promote sustainability and promote energy reduction. They've rewarded us to the point that they have highlighted Harvard as one of their partners who is doing quite well in that area.
And then small stuff, Chris, fire off a list.
Yeah. There's too many. There's way too many things that we've done. But I honestly, I agree with Victoria. I agree with CJ. I think we've done, I think we've done a great job. I think we are at the levels of our competitors, if not in some cases better. We're very passionate. 3 people on this call today are very passionate in sustainability, and we'll continue to drive this home. We educate our staff on a regular basis. We, obviously constantly participating in lunch and learns and monitoring incentive programs offered by all 3 provinces and regulatory bodies, and we take full advantage of it. So we'll continue to drive this, and we'll continue to work with our staff and make this part of their day-to-day work life while they're with Harvard.
Yeah. And Sasha, you had asked about what small changes people can make. I think lots of little things. Maybe instead of bringing a bunch of Ziploc bags so that you pack your lunch up into that throw in the garbage in the kitchen, you get to take home with you. Turn off the light when you walk out of your office if you're going to go for an hour-long meeting somewhere. Trying to remember to shut down your computer at the end of the day. It's sort of simple behavioral changes that you're going to see. And one of the things that's going to come out more and more this year is the tenant engagement part, and that's really educating the occupants in the building. We're responsible for nearly 4,000 people during the day in our downtown Regina portfolio, and every single one of them has a role to play in the consumption of that building, and teaching them to make some small changes, using tools like GreenWave where we can show the effect of those small changes in real time are going to go a long way to even driving down consumption further. Equipment plays a big role, but it's not the entire picture.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Well, Thank you, you 3. Like, such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this type of stuff. And, like we were saying earlier, like, I just think it's a story that, most of our employees might not get to see the ins and outs of it each day. So, thanks for coming on here. Our plan is to obviously put this podcast out. And I think with that, maybe we'll try and find some more information for our employees to, find out more about our buildings and some of the software that we can use. So, are you guys also open? If anyone has any questions, could they reach out to you?
Absolutely.
Right on. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for stopping in. Have a great St. Patrick's Day.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Sasha, for organizing. Thanks.
Adios.